If I had to grow my marketing agency to $1 million in revenue in 2026, I would focus on one thing. Not on hiring, not on systems, and not even on service delivery. You see, the reason why agencies stop growing is because they try to focus on fixing something that isn't even broken to begin with. In this video, I'm going to break down the single biggest bottleneck that holds agencies back from growing. And I'm going to be sharing exactly what I would do if I had to rebuild to $1 million per year from scratch. And trust me, it's not what most agency owners think. Before we dive into the video, who am I and why should you listen to me? My name is Jordan Hayes, and over the past 6 years, I've been building my own marketing agency. We've done $3 million in revenue to date. Last year alone, we did just over $1 million, and this year, we're on track to do $1.8 million in revenue. Everything I'm sharing here is coming from actual experience and the mistakes that I've made myself along my journey of building my marketing agency. When an agency owner hits a plateau, they usually start looking inward. They're thinking, maybe we need better systems. Maybe our team isn't strong enough. Maybe our service isn't good enough. Maybe we need a better offer. And trust me, those things do matter, but in most cases, they're not the real underlying problem. Because if you zoom out and you look at most agencies, the truth is this: they just don't have enough leads. As they're not booking enough calls, they're not getting enough opportunities, and as a result, they're not closing as many clients as they should be. And this is actually a very dangerous spot to be in. Most agencies have some leads coming in from referrals, or maybe they're doing a bit of cold email, maybe their content is starting to pick up. It feels like lead generation is taken care of, right? We're getting leads, we're getting book calls, no problem. But in the majority of cases, the volume of leads and booked calls is way too low to try and build any momentum. And I know this because I fell into this exact trap myself. At the very beginning of starting my agency back in 2020, I was doing cold email, and it was working extremely well. The majority of our clients were coming in through cold email, and we weren't even sending a lot of emails. But I never actually scaled it. And the honest truth is I got complacent. And over time, as more competition came into the market and our deliverability got worse and worse, the results started to dry up. We're getting lower reply rates for the same amount of messages that we were sending. Our scripts just weren't working well enough. And suddenly, one of the only sources of leads that we had was gone. Now, fortunately, we had a very good stream of referrals coming in from existing clients. But anyone who's relied on referrals to grow their business knows that that is not a good strategy. But anyone who's ever been in a position of relying on referrals to grow their business knows that's never a good strategy. The real constraint that most agencies face when they're scaling is their lead flow. And most of you guys watching this, you're trying to build a serious business that continues to grow month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year on a tiny stream of opportunities. You can't expect your revenue to be consistent if your lead generation is inconsistent. And in my case, it wasn't until I was in a position where I was getting consistent meetings on a monthly basis that I was able to scale my agency to over $1 million per year. Now, when we talk about lead flow, here's what most people misunderstand about this. They hear more leads and they think the answer is just to go and start another channel. Maybe start posting on LinkedIn, maybe start running paid ads, maybe starting a YouTube channel, maybe doing cold calling. And yes, all of those things do work. But in all honesty, you only need one or two things working extremely well to bring you more leads than you can even handle. Now, I'll tell you what happened to me after cold email started to slow down. I made the decision to shift into creating content, and I started creating content on YouTube. And I still have a YouTube channel today, which I use for getting clients for my agency. And at the beginning, it wasn't working. We were getting very, very few inbound leads. It took months and months for the first qualified calls to be booked on my calendar from YouTube. And for a long time, I was just saying, well, YouTube just doesn't work, or I'm doing something wrong, and I couldn't figure it out. And I have a friend of mine who runs pretty much an identical agency to my own. He was also posting on YouTube, but he was doing 4 times the volume that I was doing. And guess what? He was also getting 4 times the amount of leads that I was getting from YouTube. The next steps for me were clear. I had to double down and produce more volume. And the more I learn about the marketing agency game, and the more that I speak to other marketing agency owners who are much further ahead than I am, it always comes down to the same thing. Whatever is currently bringing you qualified leads, meetings, and clients, you just need to double down and do a lot more volume. And when I doubled down on YouTube and we were posting 3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week, guess what? The results started coming in very, very quickly. I went from booking no meetings at all to booking meetings with 7, 8, and 9-figure e-commerce brands. And that's with a YouTube channel that only has a few thousand subscribers. And when YouTube started to take off for me, it was the first time since those cold email days where we had a consistent flow of leads. And that's what made it much easier to grow to $1 million per year in revenue last year. If I had to grow a marketing agency to $1 million in 2026, here's exactly what I would focus on. One thing: lead volume. Not on creating perfect systems, not on building the perfect team, and not even crafting the perfect offer. I would just make sure there's a consistent, high-volume stream of opportunities coming in every single week. Because once the lead flow is there, everything else becomes much easier to implement and fix. You can worry about improving your delivery after you have leads. You can worry about building a sexy offer after you have your leads. You can worry about upgrading your team after you have your leads. Because once you have lead flow and you have options to bring on clients, now you also have more money, more margin to go and hire those better team members, to go and build those better systems. And the underlying lesson is, if there's no lead flow, then none of the other things matter. And if you're an agency owner, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to continue sharing what's worked for me when building a multi-million-dollar agency. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.